much for having me here. Actually, I have been coming here for the last 20 years. It has been a long time, and we have been, at different levels of excitement around openness, depending on which moment my visit was. I remember the first visit was around 2006, and it was openness at the peak. It was the promise, it was the most exciting thing, it was encompassing a lot of social movements, artists, and so on, free culture. Then second visit was not second exactly, but in the middle I visited, and openness was at in a crisis because of after the Snowden revelations, we saw too many openness was very linked to the ideology and the ideals pushed forward by Silicon Valley, and it was a moment of disenchantment, and many started to attack openness as an enemy of privacy. While now we are like beyond that moment, and we are like having another tense debate because openness came back in being a trendy word to be used, and not necessarily in the way that we intended back when we were very idealistic around the potential of this shift of power that enabling others to use, reuse, rebuild, create upon will bring to the digital age. And the tension of openness today is that in so many ways it became a marketing sticker that means everything and nothing at the same time. And that marketing sticker is elevated to the highest point by the grown people that do not represent, do not represent 3 decades or more of hard work trying to be something that genuinely be distributor of knowledge and something that will shift power and that will enable more people in possibilities. And so what we am here today to discuss is something very, I will try to do it as quick as possible because I'm concerned about delaying the program. But it's something, it came out of a worry. We, Open Knowledge Foundation, that is it has been around for a long time, at the very beginning, was quite uncomfortable that we had a similar moment, but out of very good intentions for different actors, where everybody was claiming that something, data was open or content was open, when it was not really clear the permissions that it will require to reuse and so on. So the open definition came out of a group of experts, of highly technical people from different disciplines, trying to clarify that, trying to make easier for the movement that was just starting to differentiate what is open to what is not. And it was very, very successful. It came with a very neat, I don't know if, I know that our centralized internet was down today, but I hope that you can scan. If you are not familiar with the definition is there. It was very clean and neat definition that really helped us many, many, many years, 10 years concretely with only minor updates. And unfortunately, we haven't updated that definition in a decade. The last update was in 2015, but if you go to the website, you can see that it has such a broad adoption. The adoption is so extended that it has been translated to 41 languages. It has been, I cannot even count the number of documents and academic papers. I should be able to, but actually I haven't done that work. Academic papers and policy documents that have quoted and used this exact definition for their policies. It influenced national policies, it influenced data policies, it influenced government practices, and it was started by a small group of, well, I have to say influential academics, but it really spread broad. So then we came at a moment where it was outdated. it didn't have, the scope was behind the technological and societal developments that we were facing. And when I arrived in the leadership of Open Knowledge Foundation, I was coming from a, like a social justice space. And suddenly all my allies in the environmental movement and women's rights movement, in many, many, many movements, came, like in a very aggressive way, saying, openness is just meaningless. Openness does not advance our, our vision of the world. Openness, like, with a very negative push against openness. And that was a worry for me because there was an extreme focus, I will say, since 2019-20, extreme focus on the negatives of openness and finger pointing at openness as the one factor to blame for all the things that were going on, and for all the concentration of tech power, for all the bad things that we were seeing in the technology space. So the effort, I felt like with mixed feelings. I heard legitimate concerns, but the problem is that, saying, no, this is meaningless, we need to move to different terms, will be giving up and just dismissing the big gains that openness achieved in the last 30 years. So I know that, I know the constraints of the definition today is diluted because of lack of precision. It has been taken advantage of for further motives, and it is not up to date for technology. So I will go quickly, we tried to open this process to the community, but it was too soon, and it was too bottom up. And I know that it sounds counter intuitive to say that, but it was too too bottom up at a moment that we were not ready to address that we were not ready to understand what was coming. So we stopped the process. We started a series of conversations on what was missing, what is incomplete, what's problematic, and so on. And more on trying to highlight the economic benefits of having a very concrete definition around openness. But it didn't lead to some, it was a good way to measure what different practitioners, different activists were thinking about, but it didn't lead us to more precision and to a good process to update it. So I wanted to propose here, and I know that we will not have much time to go deep, 2.5 paths going forward. I understand, and there's full disclosure that openness is not this magic wand that is going to fix all the problems that are in the world, but it is still a very valid concept that we are gathered around it today that can still, and even more so, unlock power and shift horizontally dynamics in specific sectors, but also in emerging spaces that might be for the concentration of power, money, and technology. So basically, then the narrow path, the first path, will be to make it more precise, to narrow some terms, to update, refreshing its governance. Its governance is completely outdated. It's a group of very, very, very white North men, mostly, and a couple of women that do not reflect the reality of today. But it also lacks on interdisciplinary irregularity in meetings, in a live discussion of what's going on. Of course, unlike the Central Bank of Brazil, we are small, we are under-resourced, and we are quite dispersed, but we are very decentralized. So we haven't leveraged enough the richness of a network of researchers, technical experts, people in positions of power. The other thing is, in this narrow path, will be to stick to its original purpose, while perhaps extending a process, of course, beyond just data and content, and trying to also make clear guidelines on what is open and what is not. And the other thing that is completely outdated and we have to catch up is one of the promises of the open definition. We were supposed to offer a mechanism to evaluate the licensing and to evaluate the compatibility across the licensing and flag when a license pushed forward was causing, frictions and making those frictions visible for adoption of people. The broad path, of course, is a political statement. Is a political statement to reclaim openness for us and for the future. That has to address all the reasons why the activists were coming to me very upset, discussing boundaries, legitimate exceptions, exclusions, reciprocity, mutual benefits, all the issues that were not discussed in the first definition of open. So it's a little bit more not open just as a technical term, but open and as something that I can again rally behind. And so the red lines that were not who we want to exclude, so as they represent a threat to such openness. And the third approach, and I'm conscious of the time, I have 1 minute. Is the strategic hybrid approach. Being hybrid will be like in 3 phases. First, fix the technical core and fix the governance issues as the priority, and reconvene globally representative, discipline representative council, updated council, in a process to discuss the most urgent patches that the open definition needs for a 3.0 version. And then launch a global process to discuss all the unaddressed issues that are like, pushing people away from an open vision, not only for data and content, but for all sorts of frontier technologies. And combined with a third ingredient, which will be to design a dynamic way forward. So we are conscious that we need to design a lean process that can be self-sustainable. So designing a living definition process so we can not only update it when needed, but also attack other technological fronts when, openness can be the key to enable scrutiny, to enable innovation, and to unlock power of people that will otherwise be completely left out of the room, and come up with statements, come as a, be a more broader, be a definition that covers a more broader umbrella of communities again, as the open movement was in the past. So I'm here in the room with people that I would love to see in this idea of council for the a new open definition. If it's a terrible idea, please. Also, I'm receptive to that. Maybe it's not the time to define anything. If you are interested and you see a fourth path ahead, come to me and share it. And I hope that whatever the path that we take is, that we do not do it alone, that all of you as experts in the subject will be with us, and we'll be bringing more people in and bringing practical examples in that make precise definition of openness something that can contribute to your fields and to society in general. Thank you.